We're good. We're ready for a panel with some voice actors coming to the stage. You're probably here for one or two of them. It is all, or maybe you're here for the whole lot of them. I don't know. That is the beauty of it. We get together and we put this on the stage, but I'm not going to be the one running it, okay? We come out here to have a little bit of fun with you and make sure everything is set and ready. It is time to welcome to the stage your moderator for this panel. Are you ready for this? I don't know if you are. There's like... I just want... Like, I came all this way.
I know. I'm sorry.
I came all this way. And then I need us to feel like it's Saturday afternoon. I know it's Friday afternoon, but you're not at work. There it is. We're at Comic-Con and we need to be excited. I want you to make some noise and bring her to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Claire Lim!
Oh wow, we have game chairs. This is like home. Hi everybody, are you having a good time? Yay! How's Friday been? If it's been amazing, I want to hear a giant cheer. Quite loud enough. Can we have a bigger cheer? Yes. Okay, are you excited for this panel? We're going to welcome two guests out and one stuck in traffic, but they will be here. I promise they will be here. Okay. Please welcome to the stage, we have Doug Cockle and Erika Harlacker. Come on! Somewhere, I don't know, here, there. Hello. It feels very strange to be in these gaming chairs. Can we have a round of applause, please? Yes! And Ross Marquand will be here when traffic gets better. Okay, so he is en route. Guys, it's lovely to see you. I'll start with you, Erika. Like, how's your Friday been so far?
It's been amazing. Everyone here is so nice, and I'm having such a good time. I didn't even realize it was already like 3. I feel like no time at all has passed.
I know, bloomin' heck. And what about you, Doug? Have you enjoyed meeting people today?
I love it. Hello, everybody. Nice to see all your shining, happy faces. Yeah, it's been fabulous so far. I love these events because people are just so happy. They're here to celebrate the stuff that they love so much. It's just such a positive environment. I was just saying to Erika backstage, it's just, I love it.
It's so lovely. And I wanted to ask you guys, like, because obviously you've got duties this weekend to meet people, do signings, photos, but do you get a chance as nerds to walk about the show floor? Erika, did you get a chance to do that? Where are you going to go head for first?
Not yet, but I already know because I've been asking people where they get all their Genshin bags. There's a Genshin booth, and it's in that general direction. So I'm gonna eventually run that way at some point and go see. And yeah, one of the artists that did some of my prints is also here. It has a booth here, so I'm gonna go visit her, and I want a photo with her.
Amazing. What about you, Doug? What are you gonna look at when you get a chance to walk around?
I don't know. I just like to wander among the stalls and see what's out there, look at some of the merch, And I love the artists as well. I love walking past the artists' booths and stuff and seeing what they've got out. Nothing specific. I just kind of, like I said, I love the vibe of these kinds of things.
Yeah, it's a good vibe. I love coming here because it's like, I was saying earlier on one of my other panels, when I was younger, I was such a sort of introverted sort of nerd. Just like, drawing like my little fake comics in my room and stuff like that, and it's nice to come out and feel such a warm welcome. Like, what kind of nerd were you, Erika, when you were growing up?
Well, I went to a small all-girls school for junior high and high school, and me and one of my friends got into Fruits Basket, the manga, and we converted half of my grade to liking Fruits Basket, but they were all, like, don't tell anyone that I like it. They would ask me to like slip them the next volume in the hallway. I always was very proud that I got all of them into this nerdy manga.
What about you, Doug? Were you a nerd when you were a wee kid?
I think we're all nerds. Everybody's a nerd in their own nerdy way. My particular nerdy way was fantasy novels and RPGs. I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons, and loving it. Yeah. And Yeah, RPGs, fantasy novels. I mean, I grew up in the era of the Atari, the original Atari that came out. So
I did Atari ST. That was my first thing.
yeah, it's. I mean, I love going back to those classic games and stuff. So I was always kind of a video game, fantasy literature, RPGs nerd. I still am.
Yeah, did you get a chance to do any D&D now?
Every now and then, yeah. I recently made a trip out to Pennsylvania to be in a play. It was just a quick one-off kind of thing, quick rehearsal process and just a few shows. But while I was there, one of the guys in the cast is he's a professional dungeon master. And yeah, he put together a one-off for us, and it was a really great evening.
Oh, it's so fun. I've only done D&D twice, but it's so much fun. Like, it's so much fun. What about you, Erica? Are you a D&D fan?
Yes, I get to play not as often as I would like because I'm too busy. But yeah, every once in a while. It's so much fun. I love it. One time, someone made a Kingdom Hearts one-shot game for me, and it was great. I was young Sid's granddaughter, and we saved the universe. It was amazing.
Let's talk about voice acting. Let's talk about that. I wanted to ask you guys, you know, when I interview voice actors, I get to meet the people that follow you guys as well. Like, some of the characters you play are so, like, loved, you know, almost more sometimes than live action characters or actors in TV shows and films. Why do you think that is, Doug? Like, that people just really connect to those characters?
Well, I think that's the thing. I think that if the writers and the artists for the game or the anime or whatever it is, interactive media, if they've done a really good job, then people do connect. They connect to the troubles of the character. Sometimes they connect through their own lives, you know, the events that they've experienced themselves. I often have people say to me at events like this or online that The Witcher became, just today somebody said The Witcher became super important during the pandemic. It was the thing that got us through the pandemic. So, you know, on all kinds of different levels, people connect to these characters and to the actors behind them quite often as well. I don't know if that's answered your question, but...
It has. What about you, Erica? What's your take on that and the characters you play?
I feel like we're always very nostalgic towards things that we loved when we were growing up. And I think for animated characters, a lot of times, you know, video games and cartoons and anime, you start watching and playing them when you're growing up. And so I think that they always hold like a very special place in your heart. At least for me, that's how I always was. That's why I wanted to get into voice acting, because I just was so shaped by cartoons and video games growing up, and they were so special to me, and I wanted to help do that for other people. So
what kind of cartoons and video games sort of shaped you and your...
My favorites were Kim Possible, Danny Phantom, Teen Titans. Video games, it was Kingdom Hearts, Zelda, you know, all those Nintendo. I was a Nintendo 64 person, so I had all of those, except we got PlayStation just for Kingdom Hearts. So
nice. What about you, Doug? What did you grow up on in terms of cartoons and video games that really shaped your youth?
Well, I was a child of the 70s, so I grew up on Aquaman and Justice League and oh gosh, what else? It's so long ago now, I can't even remember all the things I grew up on. But when I was a younger teenager, it was things like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know, stuff like that.
Who's your favorite turtle? I will judge you on your answer.
I'm trying to remember which one. I always liked the guy with the staff. Who's that?
Donatello.
Donatello?
Yes,
Yeah.
good answer. Yes, I accept.
I like Mikey.
Oh, Michelangelo, of course. Yeah, I love Michelangelo and Donatello. What was it that made you guys, was there a definitive moment that you thought, yeah, I want to get into voice acting, or was it accidental? Erica, how did you start getting there?
Well, I always tell this story, and my mom thinks it's hilarious now that I tell this story at conventions. So I was watching Kim Possible when I was a kid, and the Disney Channel, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to go on commercial breaks and they would sometimes have like behind the scenes stuff with their actors. And so the actress for Kim Possible was doing one of those, and she was like, voice acting's great because I get to go to work in my pajamas. And I was in my pajamas at the time. So I was like, that's great, I want to do that. And so my mom walked in, and I was like, hey, I decided what I want to be when I grow up. I was like 9. And she was like, that's wonderful. And I was like, a voice actor. And she was like, oh, that's not a real job. And then she continued on into the house. And I was like, oh, okay. But I never really forgot that I forgot what it was after a while, but it was always somewhere in me. So in college, when I saw a voice acting class, I was like, that's a thing I thought was a thing at some point. And and then the teacher was very encouraging. It was Tony Oliver, who directs me in a ton of stuff now. And he was like, you should do this for a career. And I was like, haha,
It's a great
told you so, Mom.
pajamas. I like that the driving force was pajamas.
Yeah, it really was. And I never got to do it in my pajamas until the pandemic. Then I exclusively recorded in my pajamas.
So you didn't even get to do it in your
No,
pajamas?
she lied to me.
It's a lie.
Yes, it was a lie.
What about you, Doug? Was that the reason? Were you pajama led, or how did you get into it?
No, it was a complete accident for me. I trained as an actor, and I was working professionally as an actor in stage and film and television. And when I first moved to the UK in 1999, this is going back, I met an agent while I was doing a play up at York Theatre Royal, and she called me up one day and said, would you like to go to an audition for a video game? And I was like, audition, what? She said, yeah, to voice a character in a video game. And I said, sure, why not? I love video games. I didn't even know voices were a thing in them now. So I went off to this audition, and it ended up bagging the lead role. And the game was Independence War II: Edge of Chaos. Some of the older folks in the crowd might recognize, and I played Cal, who's the protagonist of the game. And it just kind of snowballed from there until eventually I auditioned for this little game called The Witcher, based on a bunch of Polish novels that I couldn't read because they hadn't been translated into English yet. So that's in a nutshell, that's my journey. There were a lot of games between that beginning and The Witcher, and there've been a lot since as well. But it was a complete accident for me.
Did you have any idea how important a role it was going to be when you went up for the Witcher job? I mean, did you really think about it, or did you just go another job? You know?
No, well, and what many people don't know about me is that for many years I was the course leader of the BA Honours Acting course at Arts University Bournemouth. So the entirety of The Witcher was recorded while I was working full-time, managing a team of lecturers and technical staff. So I was juggling constantly between recording sessions and students with all kinds of issues and things, and schedules and budgets and all of this stuff. I forgot what the question was.
Yeah, do you
Oh,
have any idea how important?
no idea at all.
Yeah.
Especially since when I first went to the audition, it was an unknown developer doing a game based on a series of novels that nobody in the West had ever read. So it was this shot in the dark for CD Projekt, and for me, although I loved the idea, and once I got to know more about the game as we got closer to recording, I loved the whole fantasy world thing. I said I'm a fantasy world nut, but there was no way to tell how big The Witcher was going to become, and CD Projekt just pushed and pushed and pushed that envelope. Between each game, they took a momentous step forward in terms of technologies and storytelling and narrative, character development. So, and I wasn't even aware when Witcher 3 came out, it went bonkers. But I was dealing with Joe in the second year whose mom had died. That's not the real person, but there was a real event. And that's just one example. So I was quite distracted. I wasn't following the trajectory that The Witcher 3 was taking in terms of its popularity and the love that people were developing for it. So it was a complete surprise to me when, out of the blue, a journalist from Eurogamer showed up on my doorstep saying, I'd like to interview you about The Witcher. It took a long time for me to realize just how big the game had become.
Nice feeling. I mean, Erika, what is that like as an actor when you're something you've put time into, it starts to really gain traction. Does it feel weird? Like, is that a weird feeling?
Yeah, it does. It's really cool. Because when we record video games and stuff, we're in the booth by ourselves. And you know, it's a small little recording booth with like the director and the engineer and maybe a client or two, and that's it. And then I record it and then I leave. So we really don't see the impact until we're at somewhere like this, where people are so excited and so touched by the projects that we've been a part of. It's so wonderful to see, and yeah, it's so crazy. I feel so lucky to get to be a part of something like that.
I love that it is like you guys are actually the physical manifestation of the amazingness that has happened, which is such a nice thing. How do you find, like, I'm rubbish at accents, I'm rubbish at voices, okay, but how do you, when you get a script through or you get a job through, find the right voice for a character? Do they give you notes? Is there a process, Erika?
Yeah, for me, so when an audition comes in, it depends on the type of project, and I'll look at who the developer is and kind of, or if it's a TV show or an anime, I'll look at what their other projects are that they've done and kind of get a feel for their vibe. And then if there's a picture, that's my favorite, because then I can really look at the picture and then in my head I imagine what I think their voice would sound like. And then I try to emulate that out loud. As close as possible. Sometimes it's like I imagine a voice that I know I can do, and sometimes it's something that's maybe a little new, so I'm trying to figure that out. If there's no picture, it's a lot more kind of trial and error. I'll just kind of read through the script, try a couple fun things, and I usually start to feel good about something. And then once we're cast, usually they're like, we like your audition. Sometimes they'll be like, we liked your audition, and we cast you, but we actually want you to do something kind of more like this, so we'll kind of find a new voice together. But yeah, it's fun. I love auditioning. It's a really fun process.
Now, before we ask Doug that question, we have our third guest who's arrived. The traffic has brought him here finally. Okay, let's have another round of applause, everyone, for Ross Marquand. Take a seat on the spidey chair. Go for it.
Literally just got in from Rome, so I apologize for my delay. I was taking the tube.
Oh, you were on the tube?
I was on the tube, yeah.
Oh my God, on Jubilee weekend, nice.
Yeah, there was a lot of people on that train. It was crazy.
Oh, how are you feeling? You okay now you're here? Settled now you're here?
Okay, yes. I took my morning Adderall, so I should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're good.
Me too.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
We were just asking Ross to catch you up how you find the right voice for whatever character you're going up for. So I was going to ask Doug next that question. So, for example, with The Witcher, did you get a picture through? Did you get any notes through? And then you kind of looked at it and went, "Oh yeah, this is the voice." Sorry, that was my very good impression. But did you have any kind of inkling?
Well, when I went to the audition, there was no picture. Again, there was very little research I could actually do about it, and I didn't know much about it. So it was a process in the audition of Boris from CD Projekt Red describing the character to me and coaching me to what he thought we might go to. And in the end, it was him saying to me, think of him as a medieval fantasy Dirty Harry. You know, Clint Eastwood? Yeah, but you can hear it, can't you? Go ahead, punk. Make my day. Yeah, so that's how we found Geralt's voice. It wasn't perfected because that was when we started recording. The guys who were there from CD Projekt wanted me to go even lower, so it was a big push for me. So there was a development of the voice as Witcher 1 was recorded, and you can hear that throughout the series as well. Kind of like athletes, you know, we train our voices so the muscles change and grow. The voice that I can drop into Geralt, drop into as Geralt now, my voice could barely do it 20 years ago or 17 years ago, whenever it was that we started. So, yeah, the process though was coaching for me.
And what about you, Ross? If you're in terms of voice acting, How do you find the right voice? You know, Eric was saying, I love getting a picture, you know. Would you agree, or do you just have to kind of like go and collab?
I think image always helps a lot. You know, I remember Harrison Ford had this quote where he said the first thing he does when he develops a character, he wants to find out what kind of shoes they would wear. And then he builds from there. So everything just starts from the ground up, quite literally with him. And I think much with voiceover, you have to know how big this person is, how small this person is. Are they from a foreign country? Are they from another planet, you know? As much details as humanly possible, I like to have, and then just kind of reverse engineer the voice from there. I don't like to go in just blindly and throw out voices from the top of my head. I like to research and find out as much, like a detective, find out as much about a character as possible. It helps inform the voice so much more, you know?
I like this interesting thing about the shoes.
Yeah.
That's so weird. What do you think your shoes would say about you then, Ross?
Well, I shop at Target, and say that I'm pretty thrifty, pretty cheap, I guess, yeah.
Okay,
That's what my shoes would say about me.
Right. I like it. There you
Not ashamed to admit it, yeah.
What about you, Doug? What do your shoes? I'm interested in your shoes.
Oh, I'm wearing Timberlands, waterproof Timberlands. I think they're about 8, 9 years old, so I'm pretty cheap too.
Cheap and practical. Cheap and practical.
Cheap and practical. I like dry feet. Who doesn't like dry feet?
In fact, Erica, you know I'm going to ask you to say, oh, well, I mean, you got some nice shoes.
Oh, those are nice.
All
I'm
right.
very tall, but I lean into it and just wear heels anyway. I used to be like, I want to be shorter, but then, no, I decided to just be tall, so.
See, I'm a short person. I'm a little goblin, so I've always wanted to be like a taller person.
We always want what we can't
Give
have.
me your height. I want it. So in terms of collaboration with writers, you know, as voice actors, do you get to collaborate very much after a while when you're on a project, Erica?
A little bit. It depends on the project and the writer. Some writers are very protective of everything they've already written. And some writers are more flexible and open to our own ideas. Sometimes they'll ask me to improv something, and if they like it, they'll be like, oh, that's a great joke, we should put that in. So it really depends. I enjoy when it's a collaborative process. On Genshin Impact, they've kind of let us have a little bit of fun here and there, which has been nice. My character's a drunken bard boy, so that's been fun.
Because you get to be a bit more, I guess, because you're creative people, you
Yes.
get to kind of like really kind of exercise that. Doug, do you quite like collaborating with writers? Have you had that chance as well?
I do, and I've said a couple times before that I would love the opportunity in games to work with writers in the development of the characters and the narrative. It would be expensive, but wouldn't that be awesome? Even if it was just, you know, dropping in, you know, once a month to test out material or to share ideas. To be part of that process would be wonderful, but we don't do that. That doesn't happen because it's too expensive. I can only really echo what Erika's already said. My experience, though, is that most of the collaboration I've experienced in games, I haven't done in the anime, is often with either the translator or the director who is also trying to make sense of the translation, if this makes sense. Sometimes the translator is good, but they haven't quite caught the cultural kind of reference tone that might work best. So then it's, you know, it's me going, I wouldn't say it like that. I would say it like this. It's same meaning, it'll sound better. So there's that kind of collaboration.
That's interesting you mentioned that. I hadn't thought that because I read an article about Squid Game and the way it was translated, and some characters seemingly didn't come across in the way in which they were intended because of the translation. So it's quite interesting. What about you, Ross? Do you quite like a collaborative process in terms of the voice acting stuff?
Yeah, it was when I got Red Skull, for example. That was really interesting because I thought it was going to be just a straight impression of what Hugo Weaving had done in. Sorry, I'm like one on her. How far to be away from this? I'm like, it's too heavy. Because I just thought it was going to be like a straight impression of what he did in Captain America, First Avenger. And then when I got there, the Russo brothers were like, oh, no, he's like 80 years older, he's broken, he's wizened, he's lost all his Nazi ambition, and he's just he's deflated, you know? Which was a huge help, because I literally was going to come in there and, you know, just be like, Captain America, you have no, you know, this, and they were like, no, it's like more Yoda-like. So I'm like, oh, so Red Skull meets Yoda, that sounds cool. So and that's what we did. And it was really cool to find the voice on the day, and scary as well, but just it was fun to find the way to the voice on the day rather, and it's fun to do that. I think when like you were saying, like whenever there is that collaborative spirit, it's always more fun, because even if you don't agree with what someone is necessarily suggesting, sometimes just the mere suggestion itself leads to a very interesting choice, and then you can run with that one way or another, you know.
Have there been any characters or voices or accents that you have found particularly challenging, Ross? Anything challenging?
I was just in Liverpool last weekend,
and
geez, there's the Scouse accent. There's just like half Scottish, half, you know, Manchester breed, and you're like, how do you? I'm desperate to break it down and learn how to do it.
That sounds as much as it is.
Scouse? No, I can't. It's so hard. I've tried, and then every time I do it, I go into Scottish. I'm like, damn it.
And there's like two sorts of accents in Liverpool as well. There's the really high pitched one, and then there's the Ringo Starr. There's like two. So I really apologise for anyone who's from Liverpool. I am terrible at accents, very terrible at accents. What about you, Doug? Is there any accents or voices that you found really challenging?
I don't know why I was cast in this role. I play in a game called Smite. I play a god called Chernobog. And if you play Smite and you play as Chernobog, you won't recognize my voice at all, as they put it through lots of filters. But I had to do a Russian accent. And I found it really challenging. And I just thought, why have you? I'm not known for accents. You know, it's not. Some actors are really, really versatile and can do lots of accents. I'm not that person. I can only put it down to the dev who hired me. We'd met and we hit it off over a couple beers, so it was more of a personal casting than it was a professional casting in some ways. But I found it really difficult. I worked for 3 days solid on Russian accents, and then they processed everything down to a growl.
Oh God, what about you, Erika? Accents or voices you find challenging?
I don't have an ear for accents, so I dread when I have to do accents, especially if it's on the spot. If I'm in a session and then they're like, also we wanted you to play this character who's, you know, Scottish or something, and I'm like, oh God. If you gave me a day to study, I can usually get it pretty good. Then I forget about it afterwards. I can't keep it all in my brain, so I have to study it the day before, then I'm pretty okay. And otherwise, no, don't have me do them on the spot.
There's something about Northern UK accents and a Scottish accent, and there's different accents in Scotland. Edinburgh's very posh, Glasgow's not so posh. I've had to posh up living here. But it's something, why is that so difficult?
I don't know, it's just something about it is so difficult for the American ear, I think, in particular. I know so many people struggle with that accent in particular. My husband is Australian, and he, no matter how much I study that one, he always says, I cannot do an Australian accent, but someday I'm gonna impress him, and it's gonna sound correct. I think I'm sounding pretty good nowadays when I practice, but no, apparently not.
It's hard to do an accent without, like, unintentionally insulting someone, like, so I just constantly go, I'm about to do this, and I apologise to everyone. But Ross, I know that you do a good Ewan McGregor impression. You do. Oh!
How did you hear that? No, I'm very, very flattered. You dug deep for that one. No, I'm very excited for Kenobi. Are you? Yes. It's going to be absolutely magnificent. Yes, it's going to be extraordinary. Me and Anakin are going to come back together, and it's going to be fucking weird, I think, but awkward to say the least. But you know, Should be fun.
See, Ewan McGregor's got that lovely posh East Coast accent, so it's a nice one. I like how you went, oh, like you're being possessed.
Because Ewan, he just seems so jubilant all the time. Like I can't do Ewan sad. I don't think he has a sad mode.
You try to sad Ewan, like, okay,
Oh,
imagine.
it's a sad Ewan. Oh no, I'm very sad today. No, he just sounds happy too. It just sounds kind of good. He sounds like Eddie Izzard kind of when I do it like that. It's like, oh no, I'm very sad. No, I don't know what to do. Yes, traipsing along the table. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm
The
jet
bit
lagged.
of Billy Connolly in there as well.
What's that?
Bit of Billy Connolly in there as
Oh
well.
yeah, oh Billy, yeah. Oh, I love Billy Connolly. Yeah.
Like, I like how it just sad, you turn, I'm sad now. Like,
Very sad. Yes.
now I am sad, and now I am happy. Do you find that it's funny to watch you, Ross, because you were like you're embodying, I guess, what you're about to do. Like, Doug, do you find when you're doing voices, like something inside you, are you like in the booth really giving it your all, kind of thing?
Yeah, I am. I'm trying to give as much as I can. I always say that as an actor, you should be 90% character and 10% technician. So, because you have to have that little bit of yourself that's present and hitting your light or remembering your lines or whatever it is. But as much as I can, I try to be fully present in the character. You said you work on your toes a little bit. Yeah, so do I. I always find myself leaning forward in the booth, a little bit on my toes. And I mean, we've probably all experienced this at one point or another. I was doing efforts for a game recently. I tweeted about this, and I went over in the booth. I was doing lots of pain and breathing and stuff like that, and you want it to sound real, so you're actually physically trying as much as you can to embody this. And I hyperventilated, and I went over in the booth, and I'd finished the efforts, and I was stood there breathing, trying to recover myself, and I felt myself slipping a little bit, and then I woke up leaning against a chair next to the microphone. And for about 5 minutes after that, I was really shaken up because I don't do that. I'm usually much more in control. But it's a good example of how we as actors, we try to give as much as we possibly can, and sometimes it leads to just overdoing it.
Yeah, and muscular toes. I'm learning very muscular toes
Yes.
as a voice actor.
Yeah, I always lean forward if I'm doing something energetic. But yeah, all my characters stand differently. So when I'm in the booth, I stand differently depending on what character. I feel like it does change how the sound, like maybe too minusculely for people to notice that I notice. So everything about the way they stand, the way they breathe, and with the way they move their hands, you guys never see any of that, but I do all of that in the booth when I'm recording. And I do think that even if you don't know that you're hearing it, you're hearing some of it.
You shattered at the end of a recording, Erika. You're like, oh my God, are you tired at the end of the day?
Yeah. It depends on the recording. If it's like an easy project, an easy show, and the character's very natural for me, then usually, a couple of hours is fine. But if it's a really intense character, like my character in Hunter x Hunter, Karapika, he's like a 17-year-old boy whose entire family was murdered and he's out for vengeance. So those sessions were a little more intense in the acting category and also the emotional category. So I was a little tired after those.
Now, before I ask my final question, we have time for fan questions. So there's a mic here, and there is also a mic there if you can see it. If you have a question, oh my goodness, this gentleman's like, you don't even have to finish, Claire. I am there. Please queue up, and we'll try and get through everyone. I'm just going to ask a quick question to all these guys, and we'll try and get through everybody. Okay, finally, tell us what you have learned, the most important thing you've learned as a voice actor. Ross, what?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I was admiring his outfit. I was like, wow.
Sorry, I turned around and you were
From a
like...
distance, I thought you were Loki, and I got very excited because I've been working on my Loki impression. I was like, oh, let me, But what are you?
It's something from League of Legends. It's Star Guardian Erika.
Nice. It's great. It's great. What was?
Sorry, I just wanted to...
Sorry. I was just like. Nice.
Sorry, we will start with you just after this. Ross, what is the most important thing you've learned as a voice actor?
Don't be afraid to go too big. and also don't be afraid to pull it back when it needs to be pulled back. Because I think one thing I learned, when you're acting for the camera or for on stage, you have so many other tools at your disposal. When you're acting on a microphone, it's just this. They don't see you. They don't get to take a look at what your body type is, everything. You really have to, like you were saying, bring the physicality, bring the emotion every single time. And they can always dial it back, but you really have to make sure that you're giving some variation with the choices and making sure that you're really going for it and not holding back, because it'll be flat and it'll show in the animation or the CGI or whatever you're bringing to life. It'll show, so.
Cool, that's good. Doug, what about you? Would you agree?
Well, there's lots of things, but assuming that there are people in the audience today who are aspiring voice actors, I would say a really important skill to develop, especially if you are dyslexic, is sight reading. You don't memorize lines for these things, folks. You walk in and sometimes you've not seen the script at all. So you not only have to act knowing often very little, unless you've been doing the character for a long time, but you also have to read the line that you're acting as you're acting it. So it's almost like your eyes are 4 words ahead of your mouth. So sight reading. And if you're dyslexic, don't worry, you can train yourself to be a better sight reader. Especially professional voice coaches, that they do a lot of that stuff. So sight reading.
Is that good tip? And Erika, finally, before we get to the fan questions.
Oh, you guys have already said all the things that I was gonna say, but I think one of the most important things I've learned is how to really listen when you're recording in the booth. It goes so fast, especially for video games. We record so quickly. It's 100-something lines an hour a lot of the time. So you really need to be able to listen to the director and very quickly understand what he's saying to you, and not be defensive about any direction that you get. You just need to listen, absorb, and then give it back. So it's a hard skill for some people to learn, but it's very important.
Good tips. Can we have a round of applause for these three? Thank you. You're also lovely. And so now we're going to start with you. What's your name and who's your question for?
My name is Omar, and
Hi.
it's basically about The Witcher in general. How does it feel like when you voice acting something for so long, and then someone else takes it from you, and the character you've been dubbing for so long, give it a different voice and a different life? How does it feel for you?
Well, first of all, Henry didn't take anything away from me. He's actually given me a lot. And I think his performance in the Netflix series is fantastic. I've met Henry, and he's a generous and genuine guy, and he's beautiful. Literally, physically beautiful. So I don't feel anything's been taken away from me. I mean, look at me. Who would cast me as Geralt of Rivia in a TV series? You know what I mean? Well, thank you very much. But referring to the earlier part of your question, what does it feel like to be part of something for so long? It feels fantastic. It's an honor and a privilege, and something that I actively protect. I'm under no contract with CD Projekt Red to hold my tongue in any way, shape, or form. But I do, because I love the character, and I know how much other people love the character, and people will ask me to do silly things with Geralt, and depending on the silliness, I'll say yes or no. I feel very protective of Geralt and very close to him. It's been since 2005 I've been recording Geralt of Rivia, so yeah, I feel very close.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, who's your question for? What's your name?
Thank you. My name is Andrew. My question is for Erika. You voiced two very memorable anime characters, Violet Evergarden and also Yumiko in Kakegurui. I just wondered what it was like voicing both those characters, and if you prefer one to the other.
Very different characters. Violet was an interesting one. That was one of my first shows that we did simuldub, so we were starting to work on it before it was fully out in Japan. So we didn't know what the whole story was going to be. And I remember I did as much research as I could before I went in, but there had only been one episode out. And I remember some people talking about the episode were like theorizing that she was a robot, but I didn't think she was a robot, which she's not. But I went in and I was like, do you think she's a robot, to the director? And she was like, no, we'll deal with that if that happens, but let's say no. And thankfully, no, she wasn't, so good. And that show is so beautiful and so sad. A lot of people ask if I cried when I was recording that show, and I actually had a problem with my sinuses, so I couldn't cry because I would sound like I was crying for the rest of the session, and they move so fast. So I've gotten that fixed now, and we did the movie, and I did cry doing that, and it was very exciting. But Kakagurui, she's crazy. She's such a crazy character. And when I first went in, I'd never worked with the director before. And I remember being nervous because I was like, okay, his first impression of me is gonna be this absolutely crazy lady who's obsessed with gambling to the point where she just loses her mind. It was really fun. It was such a different experience from Violet. They're both so special to me in very different ways. And yeah, they're amazing.
Thank you for your question. We'll go back over here. Okay, my lovely. What's your name and who's your question for?
My name is Bronwyn. First of all, I love you, Erika. And secondly, it's a question for all of you. So, throughout any of the projects or the characters you voice, is there any lines in particular that stuck with you or you found really funny, or, you know?
Oh, good question. Ross, do you want to start?
When I did Ultron for What If, I'm responding to Thor's battle cry when he goes, "Viva Las Vegas," and I'm like, don't think I've heard that one before. That was like just a fun, like that show just mixed so many fun genres.
What If is so great. I love it.
It was great, right? Yeah. It was a fun. So, yeah, that was probably one of my favorites off the top of my head. Yeah.
Doug, what about you?
Oh, there's so many to choose from, aren't there, in The Witcher? I mean, there's winds howling. Come on, Roach. Lots and lots of things. I think my favorite line, because I had to say it every single time it came up in the script, I kept saying, why don't you just take the first take and use it every time in the game? But no, we had to record it every single time, is simply, see ya.
Thanks, Doug. What about you, Erika?
In the game Genshin Impact, I play this drunken bard boy, but he's actually a god named Barbados who's disguising himself as this drunken bard. And there was this super funny line that we recorded on an update where they started having them say things when they opened treasure chests. And one of his lines is, "Thank Barbados." Wait a minute, because he remembers that he is Barbados. And I thought that was so funny. I asked if I could record it so many different times because I had so many different ideas. And so when the game added it to the game, I was like, oh, which one did they pick? But yeah, that one's one of my favorites. And then always one that's forever my favorite, and people either love it or they hate it so much, is in Seven Deadly Sins. My character, her catchphrase I always say is, "Sir Meliodas!" And she stopped saying it in the last season, and I was very upset because she knew Meliodas so well that she just called him Meliodas, which I guess is good, but I missed saying my catchphrase all the time.
I like it when Venti imitates Paimon.
Oh yeah.
Storm Terror.
It's stuck! I love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let's go over here. Hello, my love. What is your name and who's your question for?
Hi, my name is Senya, and first of all, Erika, I'm a massive Persona 5 fan.
Thank you.
Thank you for playing a character who I can really relate to, and it honestly did save my life.
Oh, thank you.
My question is for all of you, though. As actors who have played so many great characters, are there any other characters that you would love to play, past or present?
Oh, Ross, do you want to start with that? Sorry, you were thinking yeah, Ross, go. Sorry.
I'll be honest. I played The Witcher for you. I would love to play The Witcher. I mean, I would never. I'm not trying to challenge you. I'm like, I want to play The Witcher. No. God, The Witcher, Solid Snake, I think would be really cool. I don't know why I'm just thinking of only video games, but is it open? You say just video games, or is it open to whatever?
It's honestly open to whatever.
Oh, whatever? Oh, damn. Okay.
No pressure.
Yeah, I mean, probably, you know, one of those guys, or Loki, because I'm so excited to be doing Loki now. And yeah, anyway. So.
Cool, good answer. What were you, Doug?
Oh man, there's so many things I'd love to play. In terms of video games, I'd love to get in on the Batman franchise. I've always loved Batman, so I'd love to get on. You know, I'd love to add him to my repertoire, as it were. I don't know. At my age, I think a lot of the Shakespearean kind of roles are gone. But give me 20 years in King Lear, maybe.
Okay, and what about you?
Well, I want to play a major character in Kingdom Hearts at some point. I got to be additional voices in Kingdom Hearts 3. It was the greatest day of my life. I can say that because my husband proposed to me the same day, so it still counts. It's the greatest day ever. He did it on purpose, so we wouldn't have to compete. But I'd love to be like a major main character in that series. And Pokemon, I'd love to be a Pokemon at some point. Really though, so my husband is an animator and a writer, and I'm also a writer, so my goal is for us to make our own show, and then I voice a character in that. So I don't know what the character is yet, but whatever it is, that's what I want to voice.
Hey, watch this space. Thank you very much, my love. Thank you. Thank you for a good weekend. So we've got time for maybe one more question here, then one more question here. No, don't do that face at me. No, don't. I'm not looking. All right, my love, what is your name and who is your question for?
Hi, my name is Sophie. My question is for Doug. What is your favourite Witcher 3 ending?
There are many endings. My favorite is actually the one that I got when I played the game, and I was surprised, very pleasantly surprised I got it, because I couldn't remember all the tree branches in the game. I wasn't sure if I'd screwed anything up. It's the ending where Geralt lives, Ciri lives, she's a Witcher, and Geralt's with Triss.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, you know what? Because you pulled the wee sad face.
No.
And I'm a sucker for that. We're gonna go here, then we're gonna go there. Okay, so, all right, my love. Name and question.
Yeah, I'm Laura, and my question, I'm an actor myself, so for you guys, what is one skill that you've really found helpful as an actor?
Oh, Erika, do you want to start?
Yeah, sight reading, definitely. I think improv is very important. I've trained on stage, and especially improv is so helpful, because we'll go into the booth and sometimes they'll just completely change their minds about what they want the character to be, and you need to be able to come up with something on the spot, and sometimes they'll be like, make up a joke here, we don't know, and so you need to be able to do that. And improv is just very helpful for learning how to not get embarrassed when performing either, so I think that's a really good skill to have.
It's a good tip. Doug?
Particularly recently with the pandemic and everything, and watching colleagues who really struggled because work dried up across the industry, I think even in the best of times, a really great skill for an actor to develop in themselves, and this is good for any walk of life really, is resilience. Because as an actor, you will be told no again and again and again. And the wins are fantastic, but those no's, they do hurt. So learning how to let it roll off like water off a duck's back is really important.
That's a really good tip, because it's excruciating, it still hurts, it's horrible. What about you, Ross?
The best advice I ever got from an acting coach was just to actively listen to your partner, whoever you're in a scene with, because I think so often we pre-plan what we're gonna do in a scene. We're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna look like this, and I'm gonna really give them the stern eyes in this scene, and that's how you'll know that I'm really upset with them. Don't do that. Just listen to the person. I'm a big fan of hanging out with the actors that I'm going to work with outside of work and getting to know them better, because I feel like then you have access to them in a more honest way. You can get to those intimate places more easy. I know some people like to, kind of stay away from their acting partners and in some cases like terrorize them because I don't want to. If I'm meant to be their enemy, then I don't want to know them too much. I don't really believe this. I think it's really important to have a good working relationship like you would in any other job. You know, so when you arrive on set, it's all about just actively listening to them, and then the scene will come alive naturally. You know.
We're gonna, because you pulled a wee sad face.
I feel guilty now.
You made me feel bad.
I'm sorry, I really am.
And then that's it. No more questions. Everyone will have to sit down. I'm so, no, don't you. I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking at you.
That's really.
Everyone's making a very sad
Now
face.
you know every
on both
panel
sides.
you see me at. Just pull a sad face at me and I'm like,
Wow.
all right, my love, what's your name?
This will need to be our last question.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely the last one.
My name's Tarek. Hi, Erika again.
Hi. Hi again.
This is again a question for all you guys. Something which is very similar with all the characters which you've played on, these are more popular ones, is that they have so much power at points in your video games or the series that you play. So my question is, how do you get into like your headspace, or for like the power-up scenes, or at your like peaks of power? What's like the driving force when you're like behind the mic?
Adderall. I just pop a few Adderall, and then I'm like, I am a god, you know? Yeah. That's how I do it. That's no other trick. I wish there was a more, if I had more technique, but it's just.
That makes it so much more easier for me.
Yeah, it's just the drug. Yeah.
Right.
I think getting into the physicality of it as much as you can. There's not a lot you can do in a booth because the mic is everything, but as much as you can, getting into the physicality and engaging your imagination in this character in this moment of time. That's how I do it, anyways. And different people say different things, I suppose, but yeah, I just try to go there. That is a really naff way to put it, I think, in some ways, but that's kind of what it is. Yeah.
And finally, I try to imagine the circumstances and imagine the scene and how it would feel to really be in that situation. So whether it's a fight or something very dramatic has just happened, or something fun is happening, I just try and put myself in that scenario. It's part of the reason I really love voiceover, because I get to use my imagination so much. And if you have a really good director, which hopefully you do, they'll be able to describe the scene really well, and it'll be just really easy to kind of drop into what's going on. You have to be able to do it quickly in voiceover, but I just imagine what it would be like and what I would feel like.
Brilliant.
Thank you. A round of applause for us. Thank you. Guys, you have been absolutely wonderful. I'm glad you made it, Ross.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to Ross, Doug, and Erika, who'll be here all weekend. So please, can we have a massive round of applause for these three? Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us here at the main stage. Thank you so much, Claire. It's wonderful to have you back here. And we look forward to more amazing panels just like this coming right here to the main stage. We are moments away from our final fun event at the main stage for our first day of MCM Comic-Con London. And it is time, very soon, in just a few minutes, we're going to get you talking about somebody. We're going to get you singing along. Here she comes.